guys, I'm back. Thank you for tuning in for this long overdue video. It's been a while since I posted, and there's been a few reasons for that. Took a vacation, actually. I went to Italy, which was phenomenal. If you're friends with me on Facebook, you may have seen me post some pictures and stuff. But I'm back, getting back into the swing of things, and I wanted to film an orchid collection update video, or at least show you some cool stuff that I have in bloom. Now let's check out some orchids. Over here I have a cute little Path. I've had this forever. It was actually one of the first non-foul orchids I ever bought. These Pathmoniums are sort of a dime a dozen these days, but this one definitely has some sentimental value to me because I've had it for so long. And they are just really nice plants. You can't deny that foliage is beautiful. The flowers are really cool. And they're actually quite easy. If you are sort of new to orchids and you've mostly been growing phals and you want to branch out, I think one of these Pathmoniums would be a great one. They aren't like the fastest growing in the world, but they're reliable and they're pretty easy. I keep mine a touch brighter than I probably should. I think they can take a bit more light than you might expect as long as you introduce it to them gradually. And one other tip I would say for Paths, especially the Maudier, I guess I can't speak for all Paths, they vary quite a bit, but in my limited experience with them, I found that they actually like a bit of a chunkier mix than you might expect. Obviously they need to stay pretty moist, but I do find that a faster draining mix is sort of better for them. But they're really awesome in general, they're very easy and really cool. I would definitely recommend these to anybody. And up next here we have a really awesome little miniature. This is Dendrobium Aberrant. It's a species from New Guinea, I believe, and it's part of the Lituria section of Dendrobiums. As you can see, it has that kind of classic little Lituria shape. Like other Lituria Dendrobiums, it's very easy growing, doesn't need any special seasonal care, no winter rest to worry about. It can bloom several times off of old growths and stuff, so it's a very rewarding little plant. I keep mine pretty moist most of the time. It doesn't like to dry out too much, so I water it when it's just drying out a bit. I don't need it super bright. I would try to keep it a bit shadier if you could. You might have noticed some of this nasty leaf spotting on mine. It's not really anything to worry about too much. A lot of Dendrobiums are just overly dramatic like that, and the Aberrant seems to be one of the worst ones. I'm sure there is a cause for it. Probably got a little too hot, a little too bright, a little too much fertilizer, I don't know. It doesn't really seem to slow the plant down at all. It's mostly on the older leaves. If you end up growing Den Aberrants and you notice that sort of thing, I wouldn't panic. But that aside, it's a really awesome little miniature. I definitely recommend it. Super easy to grow, easy to bloom. It's supposed to be fragrant. I never notice a fragrance on mine, but most people say it is. And it's just really cute. What's not to love? It's a nice little miniature Dendrobium. Up next here, I have a really nice Oncidium. This one is called Oncidium Witch's Jewel. This one has some special sentimental value to me because it was actually a birthday present. I was so blown away because the person who bought it for me isn't really a plant person, doesn't know anything about orchids. I was so impressed that this person went out of their way to special order something kind of unique offline for me, and I just love it so much. I haven't been buying a lot of Oncidiums lately, but that's why I love this thing so much. It's something that I wouldn't have bought for myself, but have come to really love. I am growing it in a mix of bark and moss. I just keep it in bright windowsill light, keep it pretty moist, and grows wonderfully for me. It was in bloom over the summer when I first got it, and now it is blooming again off of the new growth. So seems like it can bloom pretty frequently if it's happy, and the flowers are just gorgeous. Good size flowers for Oncidium, and they're mildly fragrant as well. Really impressed with this Oncidium, and the fact that it was a gift just makes it even more special to me. So I love this thing. It's been a little while since I had a Masdevallia in bloom, so I'm excited to show this one off to you guys. This is Masdevallia Confetti, which is a primary hybrid of Glandulosa and Strobelii. And one of the distinctive traits of the Glandulosa is those little pink bumps on the inside of the flowers, and
that trait carries over to this hybrid, so that's pretty neat. The glandulosa is more of like a pure kind of magenta, but this one gets kind of a mix of the yellow and pink, so it gets this pretty sort of sunset color to it, which is nice. And it also is fragrant due to the Strobelii parentage, so that's exciting. There aren't a ton of fragrant Masdevallias, so it's always fun to have one. And I would say this is kind of an easier growing Masdevallia. I think both the parents are known to be like a bit more temperature tolerant than a lot of other Masdes. Pretty floriferous. They tend to put out a lot of flowers when they do bloom, so that's really fun. Yeah, super excited to have this one in flower, and I was really excited to show it off to you guys. And next we have a really cool Catastrone Alliance orchid, and this one is a Cycnoches. It's like an unnamed SVO hybrid. It's Ann Catherine Berger cross Warwitzii. Cycnoches are my favorite Catastrone orchids. I've been steering away from Catasetums lately. I do like them, but they're just huge and they always get spider mites. But I will always have a weakness for these Cycnoches types. They're just so cool. I love the non-resupinate flowers, meaning that they're sort of upside down like that. And they just look like magical to me. Like that little curly column on it. It just looks like something from like Alice in Wonderland or like a fantasy drawing or something. It just looks fake and really cool. I love them so much. So if I do get any more Catastrone orchids, they will surely be one of these Cycnoches ones. I really want one of those like dark colored like Cooperi ones. Those are really cool as well. When I got this, I was hoping it would have spots because I think one of the parents does have spots, but still beautiful anyway. But I'd like to get another spotted one. But yeah, these Cycnoches are really cool. They do get pretty big. I think even for Catasetums, they get kind of big. I think they can be some of the bigger ones from the Alliance, but I don't know, this one in particular doesn't seem that big, but I'm sure it could be bigger. I've definitely had better bloom displays in the past. I think I was a little lazy about caring for it this summer. They tend to bloom very late. Right now it's like, you know, well into autumn. It always spikes in like the very end of summer and blooms around this time of year. Very cool. As you can see, the foliage looks like hell, but that's okay. It's got a really nice fragrance. I haven't smelled that like other one, the Golden Showers one. But I imagine it probably smells a bit like that because I think they are closely related and they look a lot alike. It's got that weird kind of like artificial banana candy smell, which is really cool. I'm just obsessed with this thing. The flower shape just gets me every time. I have a real soft spot for these. All right, and I saved the best for last here. This is one of my favorites. This is in Gracum Yanum, which has these super cool non-resupinate flowers, and it has these cool wispy spidery tendrils for petals, and it's very floriferous. It blooms really well for me. It has a bit of a reputation for being a bit harder to grow than some other Gracums. I think that's because it is slightly cooler growing. It's from Madagascar, but it grows at like sort of higher elevations. It doesn't seem to cause me any trouble, but I grow indoors under lights where I can kind of control the temperatures a bit, but for me it's been very easy and, you know, easier than I expected for sure. I just love it. It blooms like twice a year, I think. I think it's sort of like in spring and then again at the end of summer. They bloom like multiple times from the same nodes. A lot of these small kind of secondary growths that you wouldn't think are big enough to bloom are already putting out spikes, and it's just amazing. I really have nothing negative to say about this plant other than the fact that it's got a bit of an unruly growth habit, but it's amazing. And the fragrance is really nice. It's nighttime fragrant like most angraecoids, but I find this one has a very kind of light, delicate fragrance, which is really nice, and I'm just obsessed with it. Easy, rewarding angraecoid.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna end it there, but thank you so much for watching. I am excited for a couple upcoming videos that I'll be posting soon, so look forward to that. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back soon with another video. All right, bye.